My name is Sarah. I am 32 years old now, and this is my story. This is about how I lost everything, how I thought my life was over, and how I discovered that sometimes the end is just a new beginning. This is the story of the darkest time in my life, and how I found light again. 5 years ago, my life was perfect. I had everything I ever wanted. I was 27 years old, married to my college sweetheart, Tom, and we had a beautiful 3-year-old daughter named Mia. She had curly blonde hair, big blue eyes, and a smile that could light up any room. I worked as a nurse at City Hospital. I loved my job. I loved helping people. I loved making a difference in their lives. Tom was a successful lawyer. We had a big house in a nice neighborhood. We had good friends, loving families, and money in the bank. We went on vacations twice a year. We had date nights every Friday. We were happy. Everyone said we were the perfect couple. Everyone said we had the perfect life. And I believed them. I thought nothing could ever go wrong. I thought we would be happy forever. I was so naive. I didn't know that life can change in a single moment. I didn't know that everything you love can disappear in the blink of an eye. It happened on a Tuesday evening in November. The weather was cold and rainy. Tom was driving home from work. Mia was in her car seat in the back. They were coming to pick me up from the hospital after my shift. I was waiting outside holding my umbrella, looking forward to seeing my family. I saw our car coming down the street. I waved. Then I saw another car. It was going too fast. The driver wasn't paying attention. He was looking at his phone. He ran a red light. Everything happened so fast. I heard the horrible sound of metal crashing against metal. I heard glass breaking. I heard screaming. My screaming. I ran toward the car. Other people were running too. Someone was calling for an ambulance. Someone was trying to open the car doors. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. All I could do was scream Tom's name, Mia's name, over and over again. The ambulance came. The police came. The firefighters came. They pulled Tom out of the car. They pulled Mia out. Both were unconscious. Both were bleeding. I tried to go with them in the ambulance, but my legs wouldn't work. I fell to the ground. My colleague, Dr. Martinez, was there. He held me. He drove me to the hospital. At the hospital, I waited. Hours passed. Doctors and nurses ran in and out of the emergency room. I knew most of them. They were my friends, my colleagues. But now they looked at me with such sadness in their eyes. That look scared me more than anything. Finally, Dr. Chun came out. His face was serious. "Sarah," he said gently, "I'm so sorry." "No," I said. "No, no, no. Don't say it. Please don't say it." "Tom didn't make it," Dr. Chun said. "His injuries were too severe. We did everything we could." I felt like someone had ripped my heart out of my chest. I couldn't breathe. The room was spinning. I wanted to die right there. My husband, my best friend, the love of my life was gone. Just like that. One moment he was alive driving to pick me up, and the next moment he was gone forever. And Mia? I managed to ask, though I was terrified of the answer. "Mia is in critical condition," Dr. Chun said. "She's in a coma. She has severe head trauma and internal injuries. The next 48 hours are crucial. We're doing everything we can, Sarah." I went to see my baby girl. She looked so small in that hospital bed, surrounded by machines, tubes, and wires. Her face was bruised and swollen. I held her little hand and cried. I begged her to fight. I begged her to stay with me. I couldn't lose her too. I couldn't lose both of them. The next 2 days were the longest of my life. I never left Mia's side. I didn't eat. I didn't sleep. I just sat there holding her hand, talking to her, praying. Tom's funeral was planned, but I couldn't think about that. All I could think about was Mia surviving. My parents came. Tom's parents came. Everyone was crying. Everyone was devastated. Tom's mother blamed me. "If you hadn't needed a ride," she said through her tears, "they wouldn't have been on that road. They would still be alive." Her words cut deep. I already blamed myself. I already felt guilty. If I had driven myself to work that day, if I had taken the bus, if I had asked someone else for a ride, Tom would still be alive. My daughter wouldn't be fighting for her life. On the third day, Mia's condition got worse. Her brain was swelling. The doctors said they needed to operate immediately. They said her chances of survival were only 30%. Even if she survived, they said she might never wake up. She might have severe brain damage. She might never be the same little girl again. I had to make the decision. I had to sign the papers. I had to let them operate on my 3-year-old daughter, knowing she might die on that operating table. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. Mia survived the surgery, but she didn't wake up. Days passed, then weeks. She remained in a coma. The doctors said there was nothing more they could do. They said I should consider taking her off life support. They said I should let her go. I refused. I couldn't give up on her. She was all I had left. Without her, I had nothing. No husband, no child, no reason to live. I spent every day at her bedside, talking to her, reading to her, singing to her. I played her favorite songs. I brought her favorite stuffed animal. I told her how much I loved her. I begged her to come back to me. But after 6 weeks, the doctors called me into a meeting. They showed me the brain scans. They explained that Mia's brain activity was minimal. They said she would never recover. They said keeping her on machines was prolonging the inevitable. They said I needed to let her go. I went to see Tom's grave for the first time since his funeral. I stood there in the cold December rain and cried. "Tom," I said, "I don't know what to do. I can't let her go. But I can't watch her suffer either. Please help me. Tell me what to do." I heard no answer. There was only silence. Cold, empty silence. That night, I made the hardest decision of my life. I told the doctors to turn off the machines. I held Mia in my arms as they disconnected the tubes and wires. I sang her favorite lullaby as her heart slowly stopped beating. I held her until her little body grew cold. And then I screamed. I screamed until I had no voice left. My baby was gone. My husband was gone. My life was over. After Mia's funeral, I fell apart completely. I stopped going to work. I stopped answering phone calls. I stopped eating. I stopped caring about anything. My house felt empty and cold. Everywhere I looked, I saw memories of Tom and Mia. Her toys were still scattered on the floor. His clothes were still in the closet. I couldn't clean anything up. I couldn't move anything. It felt like erasing them from existence. I started drinking. Every night I drank until I passed out. It was the only way I could sleep without nightmares. It was the only way I could stop thinking, stop remembering, stop feeling the unbearable pain in my chest. My parents tried to help. My friends tried to help. But I pushed them all away. I didn't want help. I didn't want to get better. I wanted to die. I wanted to be with Tom and Mia. Several times I thought about ending it all. I stood on my balcony, looking down at the street below, thinking how easy it would be to just step over the edge. I wrote suicide notes. I had pills ready, but something always stopped me. Maybe it was fear. Maybe it was the small part of me that still wanted to live. Maybe it was Tom's voice in my head, telling me to be strong. I don't know, but I couldn't do it. So instead, I just existed. I wasn't living. I was just breathing, just surviving one painful day at a time. 3 months after Mia's death, I received an eviction notice. I hadn't paid my mortgage in 3 months. I had stopped opening mail, stopped answering calls from the bank. I had lost my job at the hospital. They had been patient, but after 3 months of not showing up, they had no choice but to let me go. Without my income and without Tom's income, I couldn't afford the house. I had 30 days to leave. 30 days to pack up my life, my memories, my family's belongings. I didn't know where to go. I had some savings, but not much. Most of our money had gone to medical bills and funeral expenses. Tom's life insurance had a clause that didn't cover accidents caused by distracted drivers, so we got nothing. His parents were too grief-stricken to help, and they still blamed me. My parents wanted to help, but they were elderly and living on a fixed income. I packed slowly. Every item I touched brought back memories. Mia's clothes still smelled like her. Tom's favorite coffee mug was still in the kitchen. How could I throw these things away? How could I leave this house, the last place where we were all together and happy. On the day I had to leave, I walked through the empty house one last time. I said goodbye to each room. I said goodbye to the life I once had. Then I locked the door and drove away. I didn't look back. If I had, I would have broken down completely. I moved into my car. I couldn't afford an apartment. I couldn't afford a hotel. I had a few $100s left, and I needed to make it last as long as possible. So my small sedan became my home. I parked in different places every night. Sometimes in parking lots, sometimes on quiet streets, sometimes behind buildings. I was scared all the time. Scared of being robbed, scared of being attacked, scared of the police telling me to move. I kept the doors locked and slept sitting up in the driver's seat. During the day, I went to the public library. It was warm there and I could use the bathroom. I could charge my phone. I could read books and use the internet. The librarians were kind. They never asked questions. They just let me stay. I showered at the gym. I had a membership that was paid for the whole year, so I still had access. I washed my clothes in the gym bathroom sink and dried them under the hand dryer. I ate cheap food from convenience stores, crackers, canned soup, bread. I lost more weight. My clothes hung loose on my body. People walked past me every day and didn't see me. I had become invisible. I was homeless, broken, and alone. This was rock bottom. This was the end. I thought my life was over. I thought there was no way back from this darkness. One cold January morning, I was sitting outside the library, waiting for it to open. I was shivering. My car had run out of gas and I didn't have money to fill the tank. I hadn't eaten in 2 days. I felt weak and dizzy. An elderly woman sat down next to me on the bench. She had white hair, kind eyes, and a warm smile. She was carrying a bag from a bakery. "Good morning," she said cheerfully. "Morning," I mumbled. "Cold day, isn't it?" she said. "Would you like a muffin? I bought too many, and I can't eat them all." I wanted to refuse. I had my pride. But I was so hungry. "Thank you," I said quietly. She gave me a blueberry muffin. It was warm and delicious. I tried not to eat it too fast, but I was starving. "I'm Margaret," the woman said. "What's your name?" "Sarah," I said. "Nice to meet you, Sarah. Do you come to the library often?" "Every day," I admitted. Margaret nodded. She didn't ask why. She didn't ask if I was homeless. She just sat with me and talked about simple things, the weather, the birds, the flowers that would bloom in spring. Her kindness made me cry. It had been so long since someone had treated me like a human being. When the library opened, Margaret stood up. "Sarah," she said, "I come here every Tuesday and Thursday for the book club. I hope I'll see you again." "Maybe," I said. "I hope so," Margaret said, smiling. Then she walked inside. I did see Margaret again. The next Tuesday, she was at the library. She saw me and waved. After her book club, she came to sit with me. She had brought sandwiches this time. "I thought you might be hungry," she said simply. We ate together and talked. I didn't tell her my story, but somehow, she understood that I was struggling. She didn't judge me. She didn't pity me. She just talked to me like a friend. Over the next few weeks, I saw Margaret twice a week. She always brought food. She always had kind words. Slowly, very slowly, I started to feel a little less hopeless. Her kindness reminded me that there were still good people in the world. It reminded me that I was still a person, still worthy of kindness. One day, Margaret asked, "Sarah, do you have a place to stay?" I hesitated. Then I decided to tell her the truth. "I'm living in my car," I said quietly, ashamed. Margaret didn't look shocked or disgusted. She just nodded. "I thought so," she said. "Sarah, I have a spare room in my house. Would you like to stay there for a while? Just until you get back on your feet." "I can't," I said. "I can't take advantage of your kindness." "It's not taking advantage," Margaret said gently. "It's accepting help. We all need help sometimes. There's no shame in that." I started crying. I couldn't help it. "Why are you being so kind to me?" I asked. "You don't even know me." "I know enough," Margaret said. "I know you're hurting. I know you're struggling. And I know that everyone deserves a second chance. Please let me help you. I moved into Margaret's house the next day. She had a small cozy home filled with books, plants, and photographs. The spare room was simple but comfortable. A bed, a dresser, a window with curtains. It was more than I had hoped for. Margaret didn't ask questions about my past. She just gave me space, time, and kindness. She made meals for both of us. She invited me to watch TV with her in the evenings. She treated me like family. Slowly I started to heal. I started to eat regularly again. I started to sleep in a real bed. I started to take care of myself. Margaret encouraged me to take small steps. One day at a time, she always said. That's all you need to do. Just get through one day at a time. I started helping around the house. I cleaned, I cooked, I did laundry. Felt good to be useful again. Felt good to have a purpose, even a small one. One evening, Margaret and I were sitting on her porch drinking tea. Margaret, I said, why are you doing all this for me? Margaret was quiet for a moment. Then she said, 20 years ago, I lost my husband and my son in a fire. I thought my life was over. I wanted to die. But a stranger helped me. She gave me a place to stay, she gave me hope. She gave me a reason to keep living. She saved my life. I promised myself that if I ever had the chance, I would help someone else the way she helped me. You're that someone, Sarah. I looked at Margaret with new eyes. She understood my pain because she had lived through it herself. She had survived the unsurvivable. And if she could do it, maybe I could too. One night, I finally told Margaret my story. I told her about Tom, about Mia, about the accident. I told her about the guilt, the grief, the darkness. I told her everything. And Margaret listened without judgment, without pity, just with understanding. Sarah, she said when I finished, what happened to your family was a tragedy. But it wasn't your fault. You didn't cause that accident. A careless driver did. You can't carry that guilt forever. It will destroy you. But if I hadn't, I started. No, Margaret interrupted gently. You can't live in the world of what-ifs. You can't change the past. You can only choose how you move forward. Tom and Mia wouldn't want you to stop living. They would want you to be happy. They would want you to honor their memory by living a good life. Her words struck deep into my heart. She was right. Tom always told me to be strong. He would want me to survive this. Mia would want her mommy to smile again. I wasn't honoring their memory by giving up on life. I was betraying it. But how? I asked. How do I move forward when everything hurts? One step at a time, Margaret said. First, you forgive yourself. Then you start rebuilding. You find a new purpose. You create a new life. It won't be the same life you had before. But it can still be a good life. It can still be meaningful. Margaret helped me create a plan. First, I needed to get a job. I couldn't go back to nursing. I wasn't emotionally ready for that. But I could do something else. Margaret suggested I volunteer at the library. It would give me structure, routine, and a reason to get up every morning. I started volunteering 3 days a week. I shelved books, helped people find resources, and read stories to children during story time. At first, reading to children was painful. They reminded me of Mia. But slowly it became healing. Seeing their faces light up when I read to them, hearing their laughter, reminded me that there was still joy in the world. After 2 months of volunteering, the library offered me a part-time paid position. It didn't pay much, but it was a start. I had income again. I had purpose again. I was contributing to society again. I also started seeing a therapist. Margaret helped me find one who specialized in grief and trauma. At first, therapy was incredibly painful. Talking about Tom and Mia, reliving the accident, facing my guilt and pain, it was agony. But my therapist, Dr. Roberts, was patient and kind. She helped me understand that grief isn't something you get over. It's something you learn to live with. Your love for Tom and Mia doesn't end because they died, Dr. Roberts said. That love is still part of you. But you can carry that love forward into your new life. You can honor them by living well, by being kind, by making a difference in the world. The first anniversary of the accident was the hardest day. I visited Tom and Mia's graves with flowers. I sat there for hours talking to them, crying, remembering. Margaret came with me. She didn't say much, but her presence was comforting. I miss you both so much, I told them. Every single day I wish you were still here. I wish I could hold you, talk to you, laugh with you. But I want you to know that I'm trying. I'm trying to live again. I'm trying to be strong. I hope you're proud of me. I hope you're watching over me. I love you both forever. As I sat there, I felt something shift inside me. The pain was still there, it would always be there. But alongside the pain, I felt something else. Peace. Acceptance. Hope. I realized that surviving this tragedy didn't mean forgetting Tom and Mia. It meant carrying them with me as I moved forward. Margaret introduced me to a support group for people who had lost loved ones. First, I was reluctant to go. I didn't want to talk about my pain with strangers. But Margaret encouraged me, so I went. The support group changed my life. I met other people who understood my pain. People who had lost children, spouses, parents, siblings. People who knew what it felt like to have your world shattered. We shared our stories, our tears, our struggles. And somehow, knowing I wasn't alone made the pain more bearable. I became close with a woman named Jennifer. She had lost her teenage daughter to cancer 2 years before. We talked often, supported each other, cried together. Jennifer told me something that stuck with me. We can't bring them back. But we can make sure their lives meant something. We can live in a way that honors their memory. Jennifer volunteered at a cancer charity. She raised money for families who couldn't afford treatment. She said it gave her daughter's death meaning. It turned her pain into purpose. I thought about what my purpose could be. What would honor Tom and Mia's memory? What could I do to make their short lives matter? Then it came to me. I could help other people who were going through grief. I could be for them what Margaret had been for me. A light in the darkness. A reminder that hope exists even after tragedy. I went back to school. I enrolled in classes to become a grief counselor. It was hard work, especially while working at the library. But it felt right. It felt like this was what I was meant to do. Margaret was so proud of me. Look how far you've come, she said. A year ago you were living in your car, ready to give up. Now look at you working, studying, healing. Tom and Mia would be so proud. I also started writing. I wrote about my experience, about losing my family, about surviving grief. I started a blog where I shared my story and offered support to others who were grieving. People from all over the world read my blog. They sent me messages saying my words had helped them, had given them hope. Knowing that my pain could help others made it feel less meaningless. 2 years after the accident, I completed my training and became a certified grief counselor. I started working part-time at a grief counseling center. I helped people who had just lost loved ones. I sat with them in their darkest moments. I listened to their pain. I held space for their grief. And I told them what Margaret had told me. One day at a time. You will survive this. You are stronger than you know. I never thought I would fall in love again. After losing Tom, I believed that part of my life was over. I couldn't imagine opening my heart to anyone else. It felt like betraying Tom's memory. But then I met David. He was a widower who came to the grief support group. He had lost his wife to illness 3 years before. We started talking after meetings. We understood each other's pain in a way that no one else could. David and I became friends first. We had coffee together, took walks in the park, talked about our lost loved ones. There was no pressure, no expectations. We were just two broken people finding comfort in each other's company. Slowly, over many months, friendship turned into something more. I fought it at first. I felt guilty. I felt like I was betraying Tom. But my therapist helped me understand that loving again didn't mean I loved Tom any less. My heart was big enough for both. David felt the same way about his late wife. We both carried our past loves with us. We both still grieved. But we also wanted to be happy again. We wanted to live again. 3 years after the accident, David asked me to dinner. A real date, not just as friends. I said yes. It felt strange at first, going on a date with someone who wasn't Tom. But it also felt right. David made me laugh. He made me feel safe. He understood my grief because he carried his own. Life started to feel good again. Not the same as before, nothing would ever be the same. But different good. New good. I had a job I loved, helping people through their darkest times. I had David, who understood me completely. I had Margaret, who had saved my life and become like a mother to me. I had friends, purpose, and hope. I still miss Tom and Mia every single day. I still cried sometimes. I still visited their graves every week. But the pain had softened. The grief was still there, but it no longer consumed me. I had learned to carry it, to live with it, to integrate it into my new life. I also learned to forgive myself. The guilt that had eaten away at me for so long slowly faded. I understood now that the accident wasn't my fault. I couldn't have prevented it. I couldn't have saved them. All I could do now was honor their memory by living well. One day, I was reading to children at the library during story time. A little girl with curly blonde hair and blue eyes, so much like Mia, came up to me after the story. She hugged me and said, "You read really good. You're nice." I hugged her back, tears in my eyes. In that moment, I felt Mia's presence. I felt like she was telling me, "It's okay, Mommy. You can be happy. You can love these children. You can live. I want you to live." 5 years after the accident, I married David. It was a small, simple ceremony. Margaret was there. My parents were there. Friends from the support group were there. And in my heart, Tom and Mia were there too. Before the ceremony, I went to visit their graves. I wore my wedding dress. I brought flowers. "Tom," I said, "I hope you understand. I hope you're not angry. I will always love you. You will always be my first love. But I'm ready to move forward now. I'm ready to be happy again. I hope you can be happy for me too." I felt peace. I felt Tom's blessing. I felt like he was telling me, "Be happy, Sarah. Live a full life. That's all I ever wanted for you." David and I built a life together. We bought a small house. We both continued our work helping people through grief. We volunteered together at the support group. We created a scholarship fund in Tom and Mia's names to help families affected by car accidents. We didn't have children. I couldn't go through another pregnancy, couldn't risk loving and losing again. David understood. Instead, we poured our love into helping other people's children. Through my work at the library, through mentoring programs, through charity work. Now, as I look back on everything that happened, I see the full picture. 5 years ago, I thought my life was over. I thought I would never be happy again. I thought the pain would kill me. I was wrong. Yes, I lost Tom and Mia. Yes, that pain will never completely go away. Yes, there are still hard days when grief hits me like a wave. But I survived. I rebuilt. I found purpose. I found love again. I found reasons to live. Margaret saved my life when I had given up. She showed me that even after the worst tragedy, life can still be beautiful. She showed me that helping others can heal your own pain. She showed me that there is always hope, even in the darkest moments. I thought the accident was the end of my story, but it wasn't. It was just the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. It was a terrible, painful chapter, but it taught me things I needed to learn. It made me stronger. It made me more compassionate. It gave me purpose. If you're reading this story and you're going through something terrible right now, please know this. You will survive. Doesn't feel like it now. The pain feels endless. The darkness feels absolute. But there is light ahead. There is hope. There is a future. You might be thinking like I did that your life is over. That you'll never be happy again. That the pain will never end. I thought that too. I was wrong. You're wrong too. Life had other plans for me. It has other plans for you too. Plans you can't see yet. Plans that will reveal themselves one day at a time, one step at a time. You don't have to be strong right now. You don't have to be positive. You don't have to see the light yet. You just have to keep breathing. Just keep surviving. 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week at a time. That's all. Just don't give up. Accept help when it's offered. I almost refused Margaret's help because of pride, because of shame. If I had refused, I might not be here today. Let people help you. You don't have to do this alone. Find your purpose. Find the thing that makes your pain meaningful. For me, it was helping others through grief. For you, it might be something different. But find it. It will save you. And remember, you are stronger than you know. You are braver than you think. You will survive this. You will live again. You will love again. You will be happy again. I am Sarah. I am 32 years old. I am a grief counselor, a wife, a friend, a survivor. I lost everything and thought my life was over. But life had other plans. Those plans included meeting Margaret, who saved me, finding purpose and helping others, falling in love with David, creating a new life from the ashes of the old one, honoring Tom and Mia's memory by living well, by being kind, by making a difference. I thought the accident was the end, but it was actually the beginning of a new me, a stronger me, a more compassionate me. The old Sarah died that night along with Tom and Mia, but a new Sarah was born. A Sarah who knows that life is fragile, precious, and worth fighting for. She thought it was the end, but life had other plans. Beautiful, painful, meaningful plans. And she's grateful for every single one of them. To Tom and Mia, I love you forever. You are with me in every breath, every heartbeat, every act of kindness. I am living for both of us now. I hope I make you proud. To Margaret, you saved my life. You showed me that goodness still exists. You are my angel, my hero, my second mother. I will spend the rest of my life paying forward the kindness you showed me. To David, thank you for understanding my broken heart. Thank you for loving me anyway. Thank you for showing me that it's possible to love again after loss. To anyone who is suffering right now, hold on. Just hold on. Life has plans for you. You can't see them yet, but they're there. Beautiful plans. Hopeful plans. Plans that will make your pain meaningful. This is my story. This is how I survived the unsurvivable. This is how I found hope after despair. This is how I learned that sometimes the end is just a beginning in disguise. Never give up. Life always has other plans.